In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how to utilize our windows. So essentially, we've been discussing Windows a little bit, but we're going to take a look at how they actually function inside of our operating system. So I'm going to leap down here to my Google Chrome browser, which is just going to launch my web browser, and I'm going to select this item here. And when I select it, it's going to jump up and it's going to fill my entire screen, and it's going to launch my web browser and allows me to browse the web. So I'll just go to, say, cnn.com, press return or enter on my keypad, and I see that I've got some news here. So I've got France wins men's, gets a silver and what have you. So what we're seeing here is essentially my browser. So let's say, for instance, well, you know what? I want kind of two windows up. I want multiple windows so I can do different items. I can maybe move into a word processing program, something like that. So I can write about some information that I'm viewing online or what have you. So in order to do that, over here on the top hand corner, we see three buttons. We see basically a close button, we see a restore down currently, and we see a minimize button. So this allows me to prevent the windows from taking up the entire screen and actually moving them around in my desktop, so they're kind of layered on top of each other. So what I'm going to do is, the first item I'm going to do is minimize this. So I'm going to go ahead and select this dash here, and it's the last one of the bunch, and I'm going to left click that. And what happens is essentially it basically minimizes it. So I no longer see it. And down here at the bottom, if I roll back down to my Chrome browser, I see that I've got a little window open here down at the bottom, and it says CNN.com, breaking news, and what have you. If I select left click that again, then it would bring it back up. But if I were to minimize it, essentially minimizes it into my taskbar. So I can open multiple windows here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Word, so I'll left click on that. I've got the same icons here. So the program that I've got running in Windows is going to give me those same three icons, and they're going to be consistent throughout the program. So if I do not want to see any of those, it minimizes it. But I mentioned, well, if I've got a word processing and I want to have a internet browser open, how do I do that? Well, it's easy enough. We're going to left click here to relaunch this one, and we're going to choose the middle one. We're going to have the restore down one, and that will essentially make a little mini window for us and allow us to drag the left click here in the this blue area, and it's going to allow us to drag it across the window environment here, left or right or what have you. And we can also kind of use our scroll bars down here at the bottom or on the left hand side and see the remaining piece of that window. We can also take these and roll over to the corner here, and we see how that arrow shifts from left to right, or a diagonal arrow, and we can resize that particular window and then kind of move in there, see what we want. Let's see, we want this picture here of our celebratory Olympiad here, so we'll move that over there. And let's say I want to go back to the document for Word, and I want to do the exact same thing for that. I want to store down, and I want to kind of move that. So I'm going to take the top left hand corner, kind of move this over. I'm going to close this section here, and I can begin to type from this if I want to. I can write certain items here and they will function. Now this becomes my active window here, and now when I left click on my title bar, this becomes my active window. So I can deactivate this. If this is my active window, I'm unable to type, so I have to activate this window so I can type through this. Let's say I wanted to go back to the news, something else was happening. I can simply click back onto this, left click back onto this. It is changed now to a maximize, and that fills my entire screen, much like clicking any of these applications would. So I go back to restore down, And then I also have a close. Let's say if I no longer want to have this document open, this Word document, I'm not so happy with it right now, then I will click on the red close button here, left click, and it will, since it is Word, it's going to ask me, do I want to save these changes? I do not, so I think I can pull that off again. So I can click no, left clicking no there, and then that leaves me this window, and I can maximize this one and kind of read all about the stories here on the left hand side and peruse through this at full screen. Once I'm finished with that, I can left click here on my close, and that's going to close that window, and that actually closes it. So now if I were to left click on the Word, it has to launch again, so it's not going to take as long as before, but it is closed from memory, so it's no longer running in your RAM. So you don't want to have multiple windows running up here at the same time. If you've got Word or Internet Explorer, not so big of a deal, but you don't want to have 8 or 9 windows open at the same time trying to access and use your RAM. It's going to slow down your computer, so be aware of that. But essentially that's how you handle your windows inside of the Windows environment. And if you're on a Macintosh computer, they're going to be named differently, and they're actually going to show up on the opposite side over here on the left hand side opposed to the right hand side. But they're essentially going to do the same thing too. So keep that in mind as you jump between different operating systems.